Hello, class. This is Philip Gray. This is ethical issues in family counseling. Whereas, um, one thing I noticed, there was a lot of things I noticed, and there was limited information about the Korean family in the group therapy. The therapist made several mistakes regarding the ACA Code of Ethics. Several questions come to mind when thinking about the scenario, such as are all family members present during the counseling sessions, or is it just one-on-one? According to our textbook on family therapy, family is viewed as a single unit in family counseling. First thing I noticed is that understanding that this is the fifth week of counseling was the informed consent done properly. The therapist is a Christian therapist counseling a Korean family, which is not an issue, especially if the informed consent was properly discussed, letting the client, which is the whole family, know that the therapist is a Christian therapist. According to the ACA Code of Ethics, the role of the counselor is to promote the well-being of the client and respect the dignity of the client. And that is Code A1A, primary responsibility. The primary responsibility of counselors is to respect the dignity and promote the welfare of clients, ACA 2014. Another issue that I noticed, which affects the first issue, is personal values. The therapist crossed boundaries by instructing the teenage daughter to exercise more independence from her family and seek to become self-actualized. The therapist violated the code of ethics in several ways with this simple instruction to the teenage daughter. First mistake were personal values on the client, which is a violation of code A4B. Personal values counselors are aware of and avoid imposing their own values, attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. Counselors respect the diversity of clients, trainees, and research participants and seek training in areas in which they are at risk of imposing their values onto clients, especially when the counselor's values are inconsistent with the client's goals or are discriminatory in nature. ACA 2014. Imposing that the teenage daughter to be more independent from the family can also cause the teenage daughter to be in danger. While respecting the dignity of the client and promoting the well-being of the client, the therapist imposed personal values where the daughter now could possibly be put in danger from the whole family. Another issue that I noticed while reading the case study is where the family counselor therapist decided to give the teenage daughter Bible readings from Mark 10 and Luke 14. As being a competent Christian counselor, the therapist violated personal values again. Using her credentials as a competent Christian counselor, the therapist violated the personal values as using those credentials. Having the authority to give the Korean family Christian principles, which is a violation of the ACA Code of Ethics as well as the ACC Code of Ethics. C.2 Professional Competence. C.2a Boundaries of Competence. Counselors practice only within the boundaries of their competence, based on their education, training, supervised experience, state and national professional credentials, and appropriate professional experience. Whereas multicultural counseling competency is required across all counseling specialties. Counselors gain knowledge, personal awareness, sensitivity, disposition, and skills pertinent to being a culturally competent counselor and working with a diverse client population. ACA 2014. The family counseling therapist should have been more sensitive to the fact that the client is Korean and most likely not Christian. So giving Christian advice is not helpful to the counseling client and therapist relationship. In the AACC, there is a code that this competent Christian counselor violated, which is code 1-110-A, avoidance of client harm. Intended or not, Christian counselors strictly avoid all behavior or suggestion of practice that harms or reasonably could harm clients, client families, client social systems, and representatives, students, trainees, supervisees, employees, colleagues, and third-party payers and authorizers. The competent Christian counselor did not avoid ways of harming the client. Instead, the therapist violated this code by giving the teenage daughter scripture from the Holy Bible. Unless this was approved in the informed consent, then the client has to avoid such practices to ensure the well-being of the client, directly and indirectly. So yeah, this could actually cause harm in the family. Whereas, this is counseling session. They go home. You don't know what happens. She's 17. She's a minor. But we're supposed to, as counselors, that job is to promote the well-being of the client and to respect their dispositions and not impose personal values or anything like that. All right, thank you. Have a great day.